We're here to talk about how to play cover 3 out of our 44 stack defense. Now, cover 3 is a great coverage because it will help you deter big plays because you have 3 deep. And at the end of the day, youth football, it's all about not giving up big plays. If you force teams to have to go 8, 9, 10, 11 plays to score, at some point throughout all those plays, they're going to make a mistake and kill their drive. So they'll, most youth teams will beat themselves. So I like cover 3 because it takes away the wide side flat and it gives you 3 deep defenders. So that's the reasoning why we run it. And I think zone coverage is better than man to man in youth football for another big reason, and that's because you don't get beat on play action as much. Because if you have your outside linebacker, say he's responsible for the tight end, and they do a run fake on a rundown in distance, that outside linebacker is going to come up and then realize it's pass, and the guy he's supposed to be covering will run right past them. So it's kind of hard for kids to keep their eyes on their guy, right? When you're playing man coverage, you need to lock on your guy. You can't get caught looking in backfield action. So when you're playing man coverage, especially against spread teams, every player is going to have a responsibility in pass coverage, right? A linebacker or a secondary player. So a lot of times they'll get caught looking in backfield action and they'll get beat over the top for a pass. Whereas with zone is they could get into their run fits, and then once they read pass, they could just open their hips and kind of spot drop, open up and run to the zone that they're responsible for. And then the 3 deep safeties could just stay deep. So, it's a really good coverage because it really does deter big plays. Again, it keeps you 3 deep, and it takes away the wide side hook to curl zone underneath that slant or QB quick pop, and it takes away the wide side flat, like an out from a tight end or an out from a number 2 receiver. All right, so we'll go over what cover 3 is. All right. Basically, we like to play the sky version. Cloud cover 3, sky cover 3. Cloud cover 3 is really just corners are up. Long story short, corners are up. Sky coverage, they're off. Both corners are off. And the free safety is in the middle of the field. All right, so that's the short version of the difference between sky and cloud. Where sky coverage, our corners are off. Now, they look very off, a little too far off in this play diagram, but we have them at 8 yards turned in. All right, so our outside linebacker, he'll have the flat. And guys, keep in mind too that, most of the plays are being executed from a hash, right? So right now it's shown in the middle of the field. So we do want to adjust to the boundary. The boundary coverage and zone drop is going to be a little bit different, which I'll go over in a second. But our outside linebacker here, he's going to have the flat. Our right outside linebacker here is going to have this side flat. Our Mike going to have hook to curl. Our corner's going to have deep third. Safety's going to have deep middle. Corner's going to have deep third. Now, our safety is always in the middle of the field, all right? If the ball's on this hash, he can't be here. He's always in the middle of the field or cheat it towards the pass strength. Say they're 3-by-1 or they're 4-by-1 to go quads, empty. He needs to cheat over a little bit that side so he can match the seam. All right, and then if the quarterback runs, okay, say they do a sprint out. Okay, if they sprint out this way, if they sprint out this way, this inside backer has the quarterback. If the quarterback sprints out this way, this linebacker has the quarterback. All right, and then obviously these zones will change. They're not going to stay here. If the quarterback's rolling this way, he's going to come up for Q. He's replacing this zone. He's going hook to curl. And then we're still maintaining our zone coverage. So keep that in mind too. All right, so that's basically who has what against 2-by-2. Let's look at more of a traditional tight end set here. They got 2 running back, I formation, 2 receivers. So if our outside linebackers are compressed in because their formation's compressed, they still have the flat, deep third, deep middle, hook to curl, deep third. Now, we'll go over trips. Actually, what I want to do is I want to go over proper alignment here real quick with cover 3. And guys, we're going to go over what beats cover 3, the weaknesses. We'll go over what the strengths are. We're going to give you a nice breakdown of everything. So some real good stuff here. Now, alignment-wise, if they're 2-by-2, Our outside backer is going to be 3 yards off the ball on his inside shoulder. 3 yards off the ball on his inside shoulder. Okay. You can get beat on 4 verts if you don't press these kids, which I'll go over in a minute. But you could have them pressed up on the number 2, so you could reroute them to however you want to do it. But our base alignment here would be just 3 yards off the ball, inside shade. Our cornerbacks, when they get 2 by 2, this is very important. They need to split the difference between 1 and 2. I want them aligned over between number 1 receiver and number 2. We can't be heavy on number 1 because that leaves that seam, right? Cover 3 is a little weak on the seams here. The seams between the 3/3. Okay, so we need to split 1 and 2, get depth, so we could defend both these kids if they go vertical, right? So if we're too heavy here and this kid goes vertical, this kid goes here, he cheats here, this kid's going to be open. So we have to be able to cover 2 deep defenders in our zone, right? Because the best way to beat zone is to flood it. So it's very important that if we do get 2 verticals, we have to be a little bit heavier on the inside vertical. 1, because that's an easier throw. And 2, we got to be able to play both guys. All right, so they're splitting 1 and 2. Again, we have them at 8 yards off. Safety, okay, the passing strength honestly is balanced here, even though the back's offset. So you could consider this 3 eligible threats too, so 3 by 2. But for us, the receiver strength it's balanced. So he would be in the middle of the field. He's not cheating either way. We're not fouling the ball. Ball's always, like I said, the ball's always going to be on the hash. It doesn't matter. We're always going to be in the middle of the field. Now, a couple other things with the zone. Okay, guys, there's a couple different ways you could play your corners. You could have them just backpedal. What we did actually first was we had them turned in and we played like a bail technique. Our hips are already opened up, but our eyes are looking back in the quarterback. So you could play in the bail technique where they're kind of, bailing back already, kind of their hips opened up, or you could have them just backpedal. If you have them backpedal, you got to make sure they get depth. They need to be able to match the deepest vertical, okay, no matter what side it is on, and I'll go over what that means in a second. So split 1 and 2, you could have them play a bail technique where they're turned in towards the quarterback and they're already bailing back, or you could have them backpedal. All right, our outside backers, our safety is going to always backpedal. He's not going to be in bail technique. We want him to backpedal straight back. Our outside linebacker, they are going to have their outside foot back. Why we do that? Because if it's run, they could push off that outside foot and force this play back in. And if it's pass, their hip is already opened up. So if their outside hip is open and they're, shuffling down and then they read it's not run, okay, it's pass, I got to open up and get to my flat. Okay, their hip's already open. So that's why, they're going to open up to the outside and go to the outside flat. So their outside hip needs to be open. And you kind of really want them to get underneath number 1, okay, because you are a little weak on hitches here. So a good aiming point is to get underneath number 1, kind of take away the hitch from 1. So a little more depth on the flat. All right. So same thing here. His left foot will be back slightly so he could open up and go. Linebackers, obviously, you're going to have more of a square stance. And then they're going to just bail back if they read pass. Now, guys, it's very important, listen, that your linebackers, they're reading run first. Unless it's 3rd and 50. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 20, 4th and 10, whatever, then you could play a little bit less aggressive for the run. But guys, you got to play the run. The biggest thing with zone teams is, especially when I take on a new team, and it's the first time we're running zone, a lot of times they won't get in their run fit because they're just wondering if it's pass. So you have to train your kids to understand that they have to get into their run fits. They have to get into their run fits. So they're going to read step, and then once they read it's not run, then they open up and get to their zone. Okay, so guys, it's a very important point. You have to understand that. So it's not pass. If it's not run, then you could open up and get to your zone drops. But let's play like it's going to be run. And then when it's not run, we could just open up and run to our zone. And guys, when I say we open up and run, we open up and run. You got to teach your kids to take their run step reads, and then once it's passed, boom, flip their hips and run to where they need to go. Okay, so that's very important. Another thing, you'll see a lot of coaches make this mistake, or kids will make this mistake. A lot of times, these corners are looking at their receiver. Okay, they're looking, even though they're playing zone, they're looking at this receiver. We're not playing man. Our corner does not have him in man coverage. Our corner doesn't have him. Our outside linebacker doesn't have him. Our cornerback doesn't have him. So we need to understand that any eligible receiver is a threat to our zone, right? That means he could run short, he could run shallow, he could drag across the field. And if you don't climb to be able to match the deepest vertical, the deepest player, because he can bang back and run into your zone from over here, especially if the quarterback gives himself time. Say he's mobile, he gives himself time for this kid to drag across, and these guys run short or work back to the quarterback, and his corner bites up. Someone from the other side can come behind and hit him up over the top. So let's understand that any receiver is an eligible threat to our zone. Okay? Like you could get an inside release from him, clear out from him, and a rail route from the from the tailback. Corner cheats over here, he's open. We have to understand any player that's eligible is a threat to our zone. All right? So let's make sure your kids understand that. Let's make sure we're not getting caught looking at receivers. Okay, we're going to open up, look at the rollout of the quarterback, and just get to our zone. And listen, you could still, I'm not saying you don't watch him and let him outrun you and go deep. You could see him in your peripheral vision. So, but we're not locking on this. So that's why it's good to have these kids turned in so they could see every receiver. And they have to get depth. We just can't get beat deep, guys. That's all we care about. If they want to run anything underneath, any kind of short screen game, fine, so be it. We do not want to get beat deep. All right? Don't get beat deep. And we have to be the deepest guy in the field, right? You hear the coaches say, oh, no one should get behind you, like talking to your safety. Essentially, treat this like 3 safeties. All right? Now, you can play these guys a little bit up. You could bail back. Okay, we call it press bail because we do run some cover 1. So we will show like we're going to be in cover 1. And as soon as quarterback begins the cadence, we bail back. So that's another little thing too. But let's look at some of these zone drops versus compressed formation. Okay, same thing here. Any eligible receivers a threat. Eligible, 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 eligible. So let's not get caught. This corner doesn't have him. This corner doesn't have the X. Only if that X goes vertical into his deep third zone will he have him. When the defender's in the zone, then you're playing man, then you're covering him. Now, another thing, it's very important. If the offense floods your zone, right? They're both kind of in the third. The cornerback has to take the deepest one. All right, if you have 2 deep guys in your zone, take away the deeper one. You should be the deepest route runner in your zone should be in front of you. And then if they throw it short, you just rally and make a tackle. Okay, you have to, when you zone drop, guys, you have to zone drop with depth. Okay, especially against floods and things like that. You have to get depth on your zone drops. And when I say that, he can't get depth here, and then he's shallow here. Look at this big seam. Okay? When they're reading zone, we're getting depth on our drops here. And then anything short, we rally to it, right? We rather rally to make a tackle for a 3-4 yard gain than give up a big chunk play here and then have no help behind us. So you look, think about it like this too. If everyone gets depth on their zone, say they do a quick now screen to him. Okay? They do a quick now screen to him. Obviously, our outside back, we want him to rally to that, but let's pretend they do this. Let's pretend they do this. All right? Say they do a now screen, or this kid runs you off vertically. Okay, we have to take away. So now they're flooding the flat, right? So we have to take the deepest one. We can't drive on this and leave this open, and then there's only one corner left to make a tackle. Whereas if we take away the deep one, we have him here. We have our corner could come up and make a play too. And we have our safety. So, guys, understand it's about bending but not breaking, right? Just don't give up big plays and zone drop with depth, guys. All right? So teach your kids to zone drop with depth. Let's go through our alignment versus trips. Now, most teams will put trips to the field. Some teams will put trips to the boundary, which is stupid in my opinion. Yeah, you can do a quick screen if you got numbers. But honestly, like putting trips to the field doesn't really do much for you. Like I said, the only thing that you could do really with that is just a quick now screen or something if we only put 2 over to 3 receivers to the boundary, which is, you have to defend that. But at the end of the day, you're going to get trips to the field. So you could actually cheat this over a little bit. But here's the alignment versus trips. Okay, he's splitting 1 and 2. He should be in it a little bit more even. Okay, he's splitting 1 and 2. He's got a compressed split from Y, so he's going to play him square. He's got deep third, deep third, deep third. Just because this kid, let's say this kid is on this side, doesn't mean he don't end up here. So understand, all these kids are eligible receivers, so we are not getting caught up looking at one man. Now our rip linebacker, our right outside backer, he is splitting 2 and 3. Now when I say 1 or splitting 2 and 3, we always label the outside receiver with number 1, and next one is 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's how we would name it. So here's 2 and 3. Our rip linebacker is splitting the difference between 2 and 3. All right, and he has the flat zone. Now you can have them reroute, which we'll go over in a second. But this is cover 3 versus trips. And I want you guys to look at the field too. Let's understand something too. Like, do we need to cover this flat? No. This kid has to understand, okay, I am to the boundary. I am going to cover here. I'm going to bail back here. It wouldn't do us any good if we do this, because look at the big gap we're going to have. Right? This ball is not in the middle of the field. So we have to understand where the field is. So this kid would turn into more of a hook to curl player. He would be here. This way. This kid would be this way. This kid would be this way here. So you can see you cover the field. You're a little weak to the short side flat, but at least you have the wide side of the field covered. Over what plays and pass concepts beat cover 3, and then we'll go over how we could defend those a little bit better. All right, first play that beats cover 3, all right, that we've had a problem with defending in the past is 4 verts. Again, how do you beat zone? You flood it, right? You flood the zone. So they send 4 deep. We only have 3 deep. All right, so what you do to combat 4 verts, a couple different things here. Obviously, you want to get pressure, get good pressure. Getting pressure in the quarterback is the best pass coverage. So, once you read pass, go, stay in your pass rush lane, because you can't, just fly out of there, especially your D tackles, because your quarterback can step up and run. But, get in your pass rush lane and boom, go get a sack, or go get a pressure, go get a hurry, go get a tip ball. All right, so the best pass coverage is pressure, guys. All right. Now, how do we defend cover 4 verts against our cover 3? All right. First off, the weaknesses in the cover 3 zone, let's go over that first, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, is the deep seam here. Okay, the seam right behind this linebacker between our flat, our deep outside third and middle third. This zone here, and then this zone here. Okay, kind of that hitch zone. That zone between the corner and the left outside linebacker or the right outside linebacker. So hitch is basically wherever you see some white field, that's where there are holes in the zone, right? So how do we beat 4 verts? It doesn't even have to be 4 verts. It could be double seams by the two inside receivers. Or the tight end can be here. He could still do a tight end quick pop release and then kind of sit in the area between the zone. All right, but how do we defend 4 verts? First thing you do is number 1 is the corners need to be split in 1 and 2, because I talked a little bit before about how if you get 2 vertical routes in your zone, you have to be able to cover both. So we need to be a little bit heavier on the inside vertical here. Okay, so we want to split 1 and 2, then we're able to kind of split the difference here, make sure, keep our depth, and then make a play on the ball. Same thing with the safety, okay? He needs to split the 2 threats to his own. And, he'll be able to play both inside kids if he gets enough depth. But corners got to split 1 and 2. Play a little bit heavier on vertical from 2. Helps. The second thing you can do, okay, is you can have these kids reroute. You could press, have him carry for a couple yards upfield, and then he could get to your zone. So that will throw off the timing. That will give more time for your defensive linemen to get pressure. Okay, so you could reroute these kids, get physical with the number 2 receivers. It's something you have to practice because it's a little harder when the slot guy is off the ball, and these slot kids are usually the better, speedier, faster kids. So, but a good way to do that is to reroute them. Just jam them, carry that vertical for a little while, and then get underneath to the flat. So you could jam number 2, or if there's a tight end, you could put your DN over the tight end. All right. Oh, sorry. Say this kid is attached here. You could do this if you think it's going to be a pass. You could have this outside backer reach and kind of jam him a little bit too. So that's, we could do that as well. Personally, I don't like that. I would just tell our ends to get hands on. You don't really want him reaching. He's going to lose his outside leverage. All right. So that's a good way to defend 4 verts. Another good way to defend 4 verts, and I mentioned a little bit too, is our base coverage is cover 3. We're good at cover 3. That's the coverage we're gonna be in a lot of the times. However, what you can do is you can show man, because we do play cover 3. Again, that's our base coverage. That's our best coverage. But we also play cover 1. So what we can do pre-snap is show we're in cover 1. Okay, and then as soon as the ball is snapped, our corners could bail back, and then we're playing our cover 3. All right, so that's another way to deter 4 verts, especially if a team is no huddle. If they're no huddle, they see, okay, wow, the corners are off, they're turned in. This is probably cover 3. Right, this is their cover 3 sky. So we could go 4 verts, or we could go hitches to 1. Okay, we could go stick here, or you could go double hitch. Have him sit in the zone here, have him sit here. To defend the play pre-snap, and by defend it meaning not calling it, not allowing them to call it, is showing man. Because 4 verts, if they go 4 verts and we're in man coverage, we match it with a free safety player, right? We're free here, so we can match 4 verts, so we're good. Okay, if they're a no huddle team looking at what we're doing, calling a play based on alignment, this takes away 4 verts. But they don't know. As soon as they start the snap count, boom, we're in our cover 3. So we'll defend 4 verts without even getting out of our cover 3. So that's a way you could do it. That works more so against no huddle teams where you kind of mess with them. Another thing you can do to defend 4 verts is you could stay in your cover 3. You could show cover 3, but play cover 1. Now you do the opposite. Cover 3, all right, and then quarterback ends his cadence, we roll down and we play cover 1. So we're locked here, locked here, locked here, locked here with a free. So we're playing cover 1 with our post player. So that's another way to defend 4 verts. All right. And how we would call that, guys, is our coverage, we would just say 3 or 1. They hear 3, they're playing cover 3. They hear 1, they're playing cover 1. Now, if we want to show cover 3, but play cover 1, pre-snap show cover 3, post-snap play cover 1, we will just say 31. First number is the coverage we're showing. The second number is the actual coverage we're playing. So if you hear 31, we're showing cover 3, we're playing cover 1. If you hear 13 is we're showing cover 1, as soon as quarterback against cadence, we're bailing back, we are playing cover 3. So that's just messing with the coaches, okay? Messing with the offensive coordinators and just showing them something pre-snap and doing something completely different post-snap. All right, so that's a good way to defend these plays by not allowing them to call it because you're aligned to stop it. Even though cover 4 is a great cover 3 beater, it looks like we're in cover 1, which 4 verts isn't as good against, but we're really in cover 3. So we defend it by not allowing you to call it because of our alignment. All right, so guys, that's that. Another tough play, which I think honestly is the toughest play for me to defend out of our cover 3. I've had a lot of problems with it in the past. This is something that the press bail could help you with too. Is hitches from 1, guys. I mean, we'll get, like I said, this kid will stick or it'll be play action, right? So this kid will get caught in his run read, or it could be even this. Let's do it like this. Sorry, guys. Let's do it like this. Let's say this back is either in a pistol look or offset here. They fake run this way. Let's say they fake run this way. This kid needs to get into his force. Okay, he's our force player, so he's gonna come up at least for a couple steps. And then this, let's say, geez, guys, I'm sorry. Let's say this guy clears out and goes vertical. We take him. He's just gonna run a hitch, right? Boom, hitch right here. So this kid can't get underneath that hitch because he's going on play action. All right. So hitch is tough. Or even guys, if we played teams that had a really superior athlete. Okay, let's pretend this is to the field here. Let's pretend this is to the field. All right. So now he's here. Now screen's tough because we do have 2 over 2, but they have really good leverage here. He would block him. Okay, he would block him. He'd catch it and make a play. So now screen's tough because this corner's so far off that it's going to be a while before he could come up and make a play. Yeah, this Leo, our outside backer, has to rip under that block and make a play because it is hard to block in space. But again, we do match the numbers, but we're weak on a now screen. So now screen from 1 or hitch from 1, those are tough routes to defend. Now, how do we defend them? Because we use the same principle. We could play cover. We could show cover 3, then bang last second right into our cover 1. We'll take care of that. Or we could press bail. We could go 13. We could show cover 1, bail back to cover 3. So that'll allow us to take away hitch. And if we're pressing them bailing, we won't be as deep. So we are able to really drive on that hitch once the ball's thrown. So to defend hitch, now screens, you could play cover 1 or move up, show cover 1 and still stay in your cover 3. But, that was kind of our answer for hitch. If we knew we were playing a team that runs a lot of bubbles or now screen, maybe bubble to 2 or now screen to 1, we would make sure our kid's very aggressive playing that. So it really depends on who we're playing as well. But that's our answer for hitch and now screen. Now, how do you beat zone, right? You flood it. Here's a great concept that will beat cover 3 or really any zone coverage. All right, you want to beat zone coverage, you flood it. They can't cover everything. I'm going to do a double move here. We're going to outside release. He's going to go vertical. Let's compress in a little bit because we're going to run it out. This kid is here. Yikes. Now, based on our rules, guys, our outside linebacker here, he will have to get underneath this out. We can't have him too shallow or reading this too early. And then this kid stays locked on him. They're going to hit this out for a big play. And then there's really only our corner or a safety that has to make that tackle. So it's very important that, listen, they're sending 3. There's underneath, mid, and then an over the top. We can't cover all 3 with 2 defenders, right? You can't do it. So what you guys have to do, and this is very important, is that we got to play with more depth on our flat. Yeah, he isn't a flat defender. But we can't sit in the flat and worry about a swing or an arrow or short arrow route. Let's say he was over here, it was 3x2. Okay, say he does an arrow route. We have to make sure we're heavier on the out. Okay, this is an 8-yard out. It's just outside the flat, like deeper than the flat zone, but we need to be underneath that to make it a harder throw, or we could tackle him if it does go over our head. So we want to force the short guy. You want them to catch the ball deep because corner was playing the out? No. Do you want them to catch a nice out to their slot guy who's probably one of the better players? No. You rather him catch a swing pass to the running back, and then everyone could rally to the ball. Once it's thrown, they get out of their zone and they could run to the ball, tackle them for 5 yards. Better than giving up a touchdown deep or a big play on an out route. So guys, like I said in the beginning, you have to play with depth. So rerouting this kid helps too, right? If you reroute him and he doesn't get into his out, okay, deep, fast enough, the spacing isn't good. So you reroute him, he doesn't get to his out, the quarterback checks it down, you're already right here. So rerouting is a good answer for this. Showing cover 1 is a good answer for it. So, cover 3 isn't perfect, guys, but in my opinion, if you could coach it properly, it is the best coverage in football, particularly in youth football. It's a really good coverage, and you could see you could show cover 1, you could play cover 3, you could show cover 3, play cover 1. So I think if you run cover 3, I think you need to run cover 1 as well. That's just my opinion. I mean, I've went games or seasons where we stayed in our cover 3. We didn't play one snap of man coverage. You didn't have to. So, just be really good. I'm not saying you carry 3, 4, 5 different coverages, because you got to be really good. Pick one and be really good at it. Whether you're playing man, whether you're playing cover 2, cover 3, be really good at that. But what protects cover 3 and helps eliminate some of the cover 3's weaknesses is the ability to play man, which if you do play man sometimes, if you show man, they'll respect it even if you're playing cover 3, post that. So guys, cover 3 is great. Couple of points I just want to go over again real quick. They're critical. All right. Cornerbacks, if you're getting 2x2, or you have two or three receivers on your side, our cornerbacks are always 8 yards in, turned in towards the quarterback, or you could have them square and backpedal, but their heads watching the quarterback. Splitting 1 and 2, getting deep. They have to match the deepest vertical, because any receiver, and this applies to all the zone droppers, okay? Any eligible receiver, no matter which side they on or where they're lined up, they could be a threat to your zone. So we're not playing man, you are playing zone. So understand every receiver is a threat to your zone. Corners, 2 corners and a safety. Make sure you stay in your deep thirds. You cannot get beat deep, and you have to match the deepest vertical. Let's say we're this cornerback here. These 2 kids don't go deep, but this kid drags across the field deep behind you here. And say the quarter, yes, that would take a lot of time to develop. But if you got a mobile quarterback running around, he may buy himself time to where this kid has enough time to get behind. So we have to understand that if these kids go shallow, we got to keep climbing. Let's say he drags. We need to keep climbing, because that's not to say that one of them don't stop and bang back over the top, or someone might come across the field. All right, so make sure to get depth on their deep third drops, and they match the deepest vertical. That's what I mean when I say match the deepest vertical. Another thing too, against 4 verts or covering the hitch or now screens, you could press, show like you're playing cover 1, bail to cover 3. And guys, understand too the wide side of the field, right? With the balls on this hash, can't really move over. The balls on this hash, we do not defend the boundary side flat by running ourselves out of play. We defend hook, we defend curl, hook, curl, flat here. We're a little weak here, but that's fine, because there's no field. If they do something short or anything, we just rally to it, squeeze it to the sidelines. All right, so guys, those are a couple important coaching points when running cover 3. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about cover 3, reach out to me, youthfootballonline@gmail.com. I'll be sure to help you out, because if you want to learn about cover 3 on a youth football level, I'm your guy. All right, guys, take care.